Well, let's move on to another issue here. It's a pocketbook question, something you mentioned earlier tonight, Congressman. You said while you were at the grocery store as a child, you'd swipe the debit card and you'd say a little prayer, you and your mom. Since the pandemic, though, food prices have soared 25%, as everyone in the studio knows here tonight. Senator Elizabeth Warren and other Democrats, though, wrote to President Biden to use his executive authority to lower food prices. Since you did not sign that letter, what is your idea to bring down food prices?
Yeah. Well, listen, as I said, this is personal for me. I know exactly what it's like when the cost of anything goes up. I mean, I know what it's like to be dead broke, and to hope that something comes along so that you can get through that week. And that's why I've been so laser focused on controlling Texans' costs and lowering them everywhere I possibly can. One of those is the child tax credit. For 6 months, it was in place, and it helped us lift millions of Texas kids out of food insecurity. You know, the North Texas Food Bank told me that they could track when the child tax credit hit folks' bank accounts because need for their services would go down. We wanted to extend that. We thought it was the right thing to do, to lift kids out of food insecurity. But Senator Cruz opposed it. When I'm in the Senate, I'll bring back the child tax credit. I'll also make sure that we cut taxes for the middle class. This has been a tough time for the middle class. We have to make sure that we're alleviating their tax burden. And I'm going to invest in a new generation of housing to make sure that as we can increase our housing supply and lower the overall cost of housing. It's something that has to be a national priority. And when I'm in the Senate, it will be.
Congressman, thank you. Senator, how do you lower food prices?
Well, let me briefly address the child tax credit, because that was an integral part of the 2017 Trump tax cuts that I spent hundreds of hours working on, fighting for, and supporting, and that Congressman Allred opposed. The Trump tax cuts worked incredibly well. We saw the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years, the lowest African-American unemployment ever recorded, the lowest Hispanic unemployment ever recorded. We saw real results. Now, the Democrats this past year, what they wanted to do with the child tax credit is they wanted to relax the work requirement for parents. They wanted parents not to have to go work. That's a mistake. We need parents to get back to work. Now, your question was about inflation and food. Listen. Kamala Harris and Colin Allred have undermined our farmers and ranchers every day. I'm proud to be endorsed by the Texas Farm Bureau to fight for the farmers and ranchers in Texas. They put bureaucratic regulations that make it harder and harder for farmers and ranchers to survive. But nothing hurts more than the cost of energy. Listen, whether it is the natural gas that goes into fertilizers that they use to farm crops, or whether it is the diesel in their tractor or the diesel in the trucks bringing food to the stores, the energy skyrocketing prices are the result of Congressman Allred and Kamala Harris's war on Texas oil and gas. Congressman Allred voted for billions of new taxes on natural gas. He also voted in favor of Joe Biden's ban on liquid natural gas new permits, and he's voted in favor of Joe Biden's ban on new gas engines. Starting in 8 years, two-thirds of all cars have to be electric.
Senator, that is your time. I want to redirect the question, though, to families like yours years ago. Yeah. How do you lower food prices here? Your name wasn't on that letter for the president to use executive authority. How do you do it?
There are some times where there is price gouging going on, and we have to have the agencies that are responsible for that looking into it. But it's also true that some of these supply chain issues and consumption issues from the pandemic are still ironing themselves out. But let me be very clear about something. I opposed Joe Biden's pause on LNG exports. In fact, you don't have to just believe me. You can go read the op-ed that I wrote in the Houston Chronicle opposing it, saying it was the wrong thing for Texas energy, that it was also wrong for our national security, because while we're trying to wean our European allies off Russian gas, you know what was replacing that? Texas LNG. And so I want everyone out there to understand that I will be a defender of the Texas energy economy, that I'll grow it in an all-of-the-above way, and that what Senator Cruz is telling you is simply not true.
Senator, I need 60 seconds to that, because he directly responded there, and what he said was false.
Senator, we don't have time. We want to get a few more topics in here in our final minutes, here, please,
but give me 30 seconds then. Give me 30 seconds, because he illustrated what I said at the beginning.
Use your time on the next
question. Difference between talk and action.
Senator, we need to move on. You can address it in the next question.